Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome to second meeting of our critical reading course. And anyway, how are you today? I hope everyone is healthy and of course happy. Alright, today's topic discussion is about critical reading strategies. Let's check it out. Okay, let's start our discussion with the critical reading process. When you read text for academic classes, for either fiction or non-fiction, your job is to read in order to understand, interpret, and ultimately discuss an author's work either orally or in writing. While fiction and non-fiction have many different qualities, the first step is always to read carefully and critically, as we discussed before in first meeting. Critical reading is active reading, of course. The search for meanings, connections, patterns as you go through the material. Making notes as you read can be the basis for analysis and interpretation when you write. Okay, here are two outlines for critical reading. One for fiction literature and one for non-fiction. For the first explanation is about reading fictions or literature. Next explanation is about consider the major literary elements in fiction. The first one, you have to consider why the author chose to organize the narrative as she or he did. And the second one, study the characters, their qualities, conflicts, growth or decline. And the third, consider how the themes are explored through action, description, and dialogue. The fourth, take note of any recurrent ideas. And the last one, give thought to the specific words. I think it's about figurative language. Second explanation is about analyzing the relationships. The first one, how do the various elements of plot and subplot relate to each other and to the central theme of the work? In this case, the relationships that you have to concern in each fiction is about plot and subplot and also central theme of the fiction that you read. And the second one, how do the relationships among the characters and develop the theme of the work? In this second point, you have to concern about the characters and the theme. And the third one, how does the writer relate to the reader? Through direct address, through an invitation to share her or his point of view, or as a guide to the life of the narrative. So in this case, you have to be concerned about writer's point of view, or maybe his or her guide of life. And the last one is about how do you personally relate to the work? What emotions, thoughts, or questions are provoked in you? So those four elements you have to be concerned about to analyze the relationships in fiction. After discussing the outline of critical reading process for fiction, now we go through directly to the second outline about critical reading process in reading nonfiction. First strategy that you have to cope to read nonfiction is evaluating the content. The first, you have to trace the development of the argument or narrative. The second one, look for logic, look for appeals to emotions. And the third, look for consideration of both sides to the argument. And next, look for evidence, analysis, and reasoning. The last one, you have to look for meaningful sources to support claims of fact. Alright, the next strategy is evaluating yourself. The first one you have to do is beware of your own biases for or against certain ideas. And the second one, evaluating whether your reactions are based on limited cultural attitudes. And the third one, consider your immediate responses. Then evaluate whether you've made a hasty conclusion or reacted according to cultural assumptions of your own era or situation. This is the last strategy that you have cope in reading nonfiction. Consider the author and historical context. First, you have to consider what is the author's authority to speak on the subject. Is it personal experience, scholarly study, or research? And the second one, what is the motive behind the author's essay? Self-justification, propaganda, or information dissemination? The third one, who was the original audience for the work? And the last, where was it first published? Is it in a book, magazine, or as a lecture? That's all the last strategy that you have to cope in critical reading process. And this is a quote, and I hope this quote can be inspiring. Thank you for playing and paying attention to this video. I hope you can master those two big guidelines in doing your critical reading process. Okay, see you next time. Goodbye. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.